Welcome to Everyday Journey with Jules. Today I'm going to show you how to make an easy discard sandwich bread for your family that you can enjoy all throughout the week. I make this several times a week. It makes 2 loaves, so I have one to eat right away and I put one in the freezer for a later time. I usually make this 3 times though during the week because we love this bread and it's super easy to make. So you can either use a sourdough discard. I fed this last night. It fell throughout the night, but I'm just going to use it now. It still has a few bubbles in it. I usually use active sourdough starter because the more active it is, the less sour taste it's going to be. But with this recipe, it will rise very quickly because we are also using yeast in the recipe. So it will not have a really strong sourdough taste if that is what you're looking for. If you do want less of the sourdough taste, you can use less of the yeast so that it ferments a little bit longer. So the first step is you want to turn your scale on. Make sure it's at 0. You're going to add 330 grams of warm water or room temperature water. Then you're going to tear your scale and you're going to add 200 grams of your active or your discard sourdough starter. For this recipe, you can use your KitchenAid mixer. I don't have mine at the moment, so I'm just going to do this all by hand. But you can use your KitchenAid stand mixer with your dough hook. Next step is we are going to add 1 egg, 50 grams of melted butter, 10 to 15 grams of yeast. If my sourdough starter is active, I will go on the left side, so I will do about 10 grams of yeast. But if it's discard, then I'll add up to 15 grams. I did 14 grams this time, so it's just up to you what you want to do. For your sweetener, we are using honey, and I added 160 grams of honey. Then you are going to add 850 grams of all-purpose flour. I start out with 450 grams at first, and then I will add the other 400 after. And then 20 grams of sea salt or fine salt. Then you are going to mix all of these together. Mix really well. Once I get them very well mixed in there, then I'm going to add my additional 400 grams of flour. It's just going to be easier to mix all the ingredients together before all the extra flour gets in there. If you are doing this with the KitchenAid mixer, I do the same thing. I add my 400 grams of flour after the dough hook goes around a little bit and mixes all those ingredients. It's easier on your KitchenAid mixer, but it's just good to get all of those ingredients incorporated. Are all mixed in there. Now I'm going to add my additional 400 grams of all-purpose flour. Okay. I will use a spoon for a little bit, but then I'm going to have to start using my hand to mix the rest. Once we get in there, then we're going to knead it. I'm going to knead this by hand. It is easier if you use your KitchenAid mixer. I just don't have one at the moment. Okay, I'll start doing it by hand and kneading these together. Add flour as you need it, as you are mixing them together. If it starts sticking to your hand, probably need for 10, 15 minutes, probably 10 minutes. I would say 10 minutes. It would be good, even 8 to 10 minutes. Once you start seeing the dough is elastic and smooth and not so sticky, then you know that it is ready. This is what it's looking like so far. It is not as sticky anymore. Okay, it's looking good. And that's what it looks like. Now we are going to put it in our bowl. I like using these plastic covers, basically shower caps. I like using them with the elastic. It keeps it on, it keeps it covered so the dough doesn't dry out. I'll sit it on the counter for about an hour to 2 hours, depending on the temperature in your home. Whenever it doubles, comes to the top of the bowl, and I'll show you the next step once I get there. So my bread has been rising for a few hours now. It will depend on the temperature of your home. If your house is warmer, then it will take a shorter amount of time for it to rise. If it's a little colder, I know it's winter time right now, it will take a slower time for it to rise. It did take a few hours for it to get where it is. It has doubled in size now. Now I'm going to punch it down, and I'm going to put it down on my counter. Get it all of the dough out of the bowl. And I am going to cut it in half. I'm going to weigh it out. I want it to be equal amount. So I'm going to use my scale. I'm going to turn the power on, see where it is right now. It is 8:36. It is 8:48. So I need a little tiny bit off of this one. See if it's even or very close to it. 8:36. 8:46. So we're like, just take a little. 8:40. So we're very close, basically just one off. Okay, flatten it out here on my countertop, and I'm going to shape it for my sandwich loaf. Kind of tighten the little bit of tension on the bottom. Over. Kind of make it as even as possible. That is one. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this butter, and I like to butter my pans to make sure they come out and they do not stick. So I just lightly butter them around here. That way it will not stick to the pans. Let's see, is this one? And so you want the butter all around so it doesn't stick to the pan. So they're both done. I'm gonna stick one in here. It's going to now rise for the second rise until we want it to come up over the pan just a little bit. So it will sit here for probably a couple hours. If you want another way of making a warm place for it to sit, if you turn your oven light on in your oven, just the oven light, not the oven itself, and sit it in that, the light or the heat from the light will actually produce a little bit of warmth too for it to rise a little bit faster. If your house is cold, that is another way that you can do it as well. If you have a oven light, just turn that on. So the same thing for this one. Just want to kind of push these here on the side. In, and then put it in my pan. I really like these shower curtain hats. The plastic ones have the elastic so they sit right on top. So they'll sit for another couple hours. I'll show you once they rise what the next step is. The loaves have been rising for about 3-4 hours now, 3 hours I think. I can tell by the look of it that I did not need it for as long as it should have been. Normally I do this with my KitchenAid mixer with the dough hook, and this time I'm in a different location, so I don't have my dough hook and KitchenAid mixer with me. So I can tell the difference that the protein wasn't fully developed. Both of them are the same thing, but it will still taste delicious and we will enjoy it as a family. Same one as this. Just a little bit, I think it needed to be developed a little bit more. I'm gonna put these in the oven at 350 for 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna keep an eye on them once I start seeing the top start darkening a bit. And then you want the temperature in the loaf to be at 200 degrees. So I'll check the temperature to make sure it hits that. And then I'm going to butter my tops right away, which I will show you as well once I take them out. Butter my tops, and then I am going to butter all of the loaf, and then I'll sit it on the cooling rack until it's totally cool before I start cutting into it. Just took these out of the oven. They look delicious. They were 205 degrees, so they're perfect. I finished buttering the tops. I buttered a little bit of the side as well and the bottom. Let them sit here for a little bit. They did just come out of the oven, but I wanted to show you. Normally I let them sit for a little bit just because it helps the dough to all come together. When it's really hot, it becomes very gummy. But I wanted to show you what it looked like. I'm just gonna cut a little piece off the edge here to give you an idea of what it looks like. I make this every week. Our family loves it. So That's what the bread looks like. It is absolutely delicious. It has such a good flavor to it. Perfect for sandwiches, grilled cheese sandwiches, or if you just want a piece of bread with butter for your meal. So hopefully you'll give it a try. Let me know what you think if you do give it a try in the comments. And I would love for you to follow me and subscribe to my Everyday with Jules journey.